All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. We're just a bunch of Kiss fans and we talk Kiss. So come along for the ride. You've got nothing to lose. All right, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Saturday morning, we've got Marcus Almighty Mark. We've got Voice of Reason, 69th Blizzard Ken, Lonnie St. Louis Kiss, and his loser Bengals.
I'm back.
Wow. New York.
Wow. And in the warmest part of the world right now, Daniel.
Hi there.
Yeah, you need to get a little fireplace going in the background. How do we start this episode? Well, previously on the KissFAQ Podcast, if you stick a microphone in front of Gene Simmons' face, he's gonna basically go rogue. That's his nature. Gene is Gene. Yeah, Gene is Gene, and oops, he's done it again. He was on the Professor of Rock podcast, denigrating another member of Kiss again.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
So now we have to do an episode discussing what Gene had to say. And let's just let Uncle Gene speak for himself. This clip has been edited just to give you the meat and potatoes and the small and danglies of what he said.
Their perceptions are warped, to say the least, because they never met us. They weren't there. They have no idea, what was going on. Now that you've all grown up, it's time for the truth. Peter does not write songs. He doesn't play a musical instrument. Drums are not a musical instrument by definition. They're called a percussive instrument. Peter did not write Beth. Peter did not write Baby Driver. Stan Penridge wrote that. But through politics and hint, hint, nudge, nudge, and I wasn't there when the conversation went down, Stan Penridge apparently agreed that Peter's name would go in the songwriting credit. It appears first. Peter Criss, Stan Penridge, or Peter Criss, Bob Ezrin, Stan Penridge, or the other way around, but Peter's first. Peter had nothing to do with that song.
What the?
All right. So I have been triggered by Gene again because I'm just so tired of this shit. Peter had nothing to do with that song apart from singing his ass off on it and it becoming a hit because of, luck. I think we have to thank the person who did the atrocious edit of Detroit Rock City, which was on the A side of that single. That was unplayable. That people flipped it over to see if side B would be any better. But I just want to read a little bit of history about this. We'll start with Behind the Mask, the official Kiss book, shall we? And Peter is quoted directly in here saying, "The melody for the song came to me on the train going to New York City, and Stan Penridge and I worked on it to finish it." Mark, as a musician, is creating a melody worthy of receiving a writing credit on a song? Is the melody important to a song? Or is it just anyone can come up with that melody?
Well, I mean, look, anybody can come up with a melody if you think about it. But the thing is, the melody is usually the backbone of a song. There's been many instances of this happening. For example, Ozzy, when he was singing, when he hummed out, "Goodbye to Romance" in front of Randy, and Randy said, "Oh, what's that?" And he said, "That's just a melody I have." He goes, "Okay, well, let's just work on it." So that was the start of that song. That melody was the inspiration, the backbone of that song. Similarly to this. Now, the only thing I'm kind of confused about, and I'm not trying to be devil's advocate here, but didn't they do a version of Beth back when he was in Chelsea? So how could he have just thought of that melody in the car ride? That's the only thing where I kind of get a little bit confused with. But
he didn't think of the melody in the car ride. He sang the melody to Gene in the car ride. He came up to the melody on a train in 1971 going to a Chelsea practice, and Gene Simmons wasn't on that train or anywhere near Chelsea, so Gene was never in the fucking room when Beck was
written. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when he said, because it almost makes it sound like he came up with that melody then when he was with Gene there. But it doesn't matter.
No.
That's irrelevant. All I'm saying is this: the melody, yes, it is a essential part of the songwriting part, and he should definitely get credit because of that.
Yeah, and I'm just going to read a couple more quotes from Behind the Mask, an official
The
Kiss book.
official, yes.
Yeah. Beth was originally, and this is Stan Penridge. Beth was originally called Beck. It was a song written when Peter and I were still in the band Chelsea. He goes on to say, it got to the point where I literally took Mike Brand's replies to his wife, Becky, wrote them down in what became my wizard book. Beck came together in one of those get-togethers with Peter and Michael Benvenga when they jammed. I did, one of my interviews has been thrown back at me, where Stan was suing Kiss at the time for unpaid royalties, and he was very angry and bitter about the situation, and he said offhand that Peter had nothing to do with it. What does Peter say in Peter's official biography? So I find it, number one, and then we'll be done with reading time with Mr. Julian. And Peter says, back in the Chelsea days, Stan and I had written a joke song to knock our bandmate, Mike Brand's wife. She would always call him blah, blah, blah. He wanted to get a song on Destroyer, and that is the part of the story that all seems to match up. Outside of Rashomon effect, where witnesses to the same incident have different recollections about what happened, Gene has no recollections about what happened because he wasn't there. The stories with Peter have somewhat changed over the years. It's always been kind of established that he was responsible for the melody, and Stan took that and put it to music, creating the music and the lyrics. How much is it? Again, publishing splits don't mean a damn, as someone already rightfully pointed out about War Machine. Right, Gene? War Machine? Yeah, so he knows all about the shenanigans of the music business. But I think the point here, Lonnie, are you sick of this shit? And just these guys in interviews being unable to ever move on from bullshit that takes away from the legacy that the four of them created together.
100%. I mean, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, really? We're still doing this? Ace died a couple months ago. So now we're just going to keep on bashing Peter. I mean, you guys got together for the Kennedy Center thing. You guys did fine together there, I guess. Even though we still had, we just can't help ourselves from still poking the bear. And I guess it's jealousy. I think it's jealousy. Almost 50 years later from Beth coming out, that it's still jealousy that Peter wrote their biggest hit. And I think it really comes down to that with Gene and Paul, and that they can't let that go. And we'll bash Ace for Ace was an addict and Peter was this and Ace is this and Peter's that. We can't help ourselves anymore. And I guess Gene's a little bit of an old man, and old people lose their filter, and Gene has definitely lost his filter, and a lot of times they go off on tangents. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. But this is the same shtick we've got from Gene for forever, and it's old and tired, and it's embarrassing.
Yes.
Yeah, Daniel, what's kind of your take on Uncle Gene? Is it just Gene being Gene, microphone on, brain off?
I think Lonnie nailed it. I mean, if you ever been working with older guys in their, sometimes in the late 60s is enough. They go off on tangents. They have no filter, like Lonnie said, and they don't care. And you can't really change them. It's impossible. They just go on and on. I mean, like when it comes to language, I teach language. I've been doing that for well over 20 years now, and sometimes words, change over time. But these old geezers that you work with, they refuse to change. Well, I've always said it like this. I won't change because back in the day I said it like this. And Gene seems like one of those guys. I mean, he is who he is. He's not really following what's happening, and he doesn't really care. I mean, he should know like another Kiss podcast says, fuck the haters, we won. I mean, Gene Simmons won. He doesn't have to do like this. He hasn't do stuff like this. I'm so perplexed by this. There's no need for this. We all know that Peter maybe isn't the greatest songwriter of all time, but why do you have to degrade that song that meant so much for you? It's, as Lonnie said so beautifully, it's embarrassing.
It seems to be a matter of timing. I'm very cynical and maybe delusional and paranoid as well. That with the Kennedy Center over, Peter having released an album and Peter getting a lot of very positive accolades about the album that he wrote and created and crafted with, recruited musicians for the task. He's been getting a lot of positivity and love. Obviously we've had him on the show, but the coverage of that album has generally been overwhelmingly positive. Yeah, there's some songs people don't like on each one of the shows, and that's fine. That's taste. But overwhelmingly, people are very happy with the sort of album that Peter has delivered, even if they have some quibbles about it. So to me, it seems twofold. I've got a conspiracy theory, and I've got a little bit more of a real one. A real one is Peter's getting too much attention and needs to be knocked down a step. That's a very British thing, actually. Love to do that to people in Britain when they make it. You have to bring them down a peg to remind them. But on the other hand, I can't help but think that the avatars play into this. And that's the conspiracy theory, that they have to keep knocking and chipping away at Ace and Peter because they're not currently part of the avatars, as you could tell from the pathetic ones that were used in December 2023. Again, you have to kind of devalue those contributions in order to potentially upsell something that doesn't feature that history, those stories. No matter what they do, nothing changes the calculus that Peter Criss and Beth were part of the transformation of Kiss from stars to superstars. Alive made them stars. Destroyer did not go tits out, jiggly jiggly, up the charts until Beth came out. And Beth did that for them. Same with Ace. Both of those guys' importance. It seems that Gene and Paul can't share the pie. So
But
Ken,
you know what?
you got to defend. Hold that thought until Ken defends Gene.
I'm not going to defend Gene. No way. There's no way I'm going to. I agree with all of your comments, by the way. I think he's getting grumpier and grumpier. Old man. But I think they forgot him and Paul. I mean, especially him right now. Forgot, or not forgot, but has not moved on. I mean, you got to move on from that old story. That's just ridiculous. So yeah, it's a musical instrument. It's okay. It's not musical. It's a percussion. Who cares? It keeps the music going, right? The whole thing with his not writing, Beth saying, he wasn't there. So how can you even state something like that? It's just ridiculous. The whole thing is just a joke. It's not helping. Gene, you're not helping anything by saying these things. What's the point? What's the point? If you want Kiss to succeed or continue succeeding, you're bad mouthing Kiss and by going after, he's going to stop with Ace because he passed away probably. I think he's going to stop. I hope he does.
Did that stop him at the Kennedy Center?
No, actually, he screwed that up, so maybe not. But what does it take? There's no reason to say these things. It's just stupidity. I mean, I agree that I think there is a jealousy there because a lot of people think, they say Beth is their top song of all time kind of thing, and I think they're jealous about that. They because Peter and Ace weren't there that whole time. That, well, we were here the whole time. Well, so what? But when they were there, they were great. They did great stuff for the band. They made it what it became, and allowed it to continue after the '96 reunion. Had that not happened, had they not rejoined there, I don't know where Kiss would have been. So, yeah, it's just another stupid thing that Gene says. He needs to stop it. He needs to stop wearing those sunglasses. In the interview, there's no. It's just he's looking like an alien now, a little bit.
Yeah, he looks really weird.
Very large lenses there. So it's just no reason, no call for it. It doesn't have anything good to say. Don't say it. It's period.
Well, with Gene, there's always a reason to do it though for him, because he's bitter. That was the thing we touched on already, and the thing is, what probably rubs him the wrong way the most is that he puts out Asshole, and nobody liked it. It's always been kind of looked down upon as not a very good record. And then Peter puts out a record, and it's loved by the Kiss community. So of course I'm sure that probably really stroked them the wrong way, that whole thing, because with his whole view overall of where Peter lies in the pecking order of Kiss, And I'm surprised that Paul hasn't chirped in, and I'm glad he hasn't, because I can only imagine him saying, well, really technically, I Was Made for Loving You is our biggest single. I mean, Spotify, we're the #1 song. I could just already hear it.
Billion streams.
Yeah, I can hear him saying that's more popular than Beth.
Oh, yeah.
I can already hear it, But, why can't they, like I said, they're at their point of their life, or they're in their golden age of life. Why can't they just move on to this? Be happy that Peter had a good record that came out that people enjoyed. I mean, he had so much trouble throughout the time when he wasn't in Kiss. Why not just be happy that he's finally had a good moment now and let him enjoy it?
Yeah, but he's right about one thing. And, he doesn't need to be so patronizing and call us children who don't understand, because we all have families. We've all got families with dramatic dynamics at one time or another, and some of them rankle and go on for lifetimes. So again, he is very honest, not necessarily with the messaging, but in what he's in what he's relaying, that there is, things fester eternally. Even after peace has been made, they continue to fester for decades and decades. So in that, a band is no different than than a family. It's just unfortunate that it detracts from everything that is good. We've started off a show where we celebrate Kiss talking about this. And Mark, you brought it up. What has Paul said in his autobiography? He said, Bob also wrote the lion's share of Beth using a few lines in the melody Peter brought in. Peter had a co-writer for every song he ever wrote because he really couldn't write, blah, blah, blah. You know what? We haven't mentioned Bob. Beth is as great as it is because Bob had the vision for what could be done with the potential of that seed, of that melody, or what Stan had written in his Wizard book. It's all because of Bob Ezrin having the balls to see that this could be a song like Yesterday, and to pair it with a philharmonic, and to really force Peter to sing a perfect vocal from however many takes it took to get that as powerful as it is. That is Bob. That is all down to Bob, and Bob changing, some of the words and revamping it and helping with that process in 1975, 76. Absolutely. Peter planted a seed. Stan Penridge watered it, but frickin' Bob Ezrin made it blossom into an absolutely beautiful flower. And it is a song that stands up there with some of the great ballads and songs for what it represents in terms of its message.
I will say this. As much as I shit can Bob about Destroyer in general, I will say that this is one of the best examples of what Bob can bring as a producer when he's on point. And this is exactly the kind of song that I think shows his strength, because he's very good at orchestration stuff. I mean, even when he works with Alice and when he does stuff with Floyd, he has very good vision of what a song can become if he's working in the right thing. And I think Beth, for example, is a great example of that. He took something that was just a simple sort of acoustic sort of song and turned it into a very big operatic sort of orchestral ballad that has been living in people's brains since 1976, and I think he did a fantastic job. I think his as production wise goes, I think that's a 10 out of 10 on that album. I think that's where he showed his real skill as a producer is in that song. The rest of it, not so much. The rest of it, he completely pooched.
Wait.
This song,
Real quick, Mark. Real quick, what did you say?
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. Say it again.
yeah, I say that that's a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
His production job. His
Whoa.
production job on Beth was perfect.
Clip that off.
I don't think he could have did any better on. I don't think anybody else. I'll even go that far. I don't even think anybody else could have did something better than that, than what he did for that song. But for that song,
Real quick, I have to add a few things to Mark's 10 out of 10 comment. I think that's beautiful. Beth never meant anything to me. It was never a hit over here in Europe. It's more like Rock and Roll Over, Heavens on Fire and stuff like that. I Was Made for Loving You. But I think he did a beautiful job on other songs like Detroit Rock City. When you compare the Paul Stanley demo with the finished version.
Yeah.
Oh Lord,
Sure.
that's something
God of
right
Thunder.
there. And I was going to say that, Julian, as well. God of Thunder. I mean, the greatest Gene song of all time is actually a Paul song, but the way he did that. So Bob Ezrin did a beautiful job on Destroyer. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah, Gene has never claimed to have written God of Thunder, though. But
No.
I will even give Gene a piece of the pie with this for that limo ride. Peter's recounted the same story, that he hummed the melody for Gene in that limo, and Gene suggested that he needed to take it to Bob. So Gene has a positive part in this story as well.
Yeah.
So again, just to focus in on the negativity, celebrate what Beth did. What Beth was for all of the people. What did it do for Stan Penridge? It did a hell of a lot for Stan Penridge. He signed up with Famous Music as a songwriter. You know, he was brought back in to do Baby Driver. He and Peter worked together in the studio and came up with Love Bite and Hooligan. And later, of course, they also revamped Dirty Living. Then there's Out of Control. So Stan Penridge, again, got something out of the equation as well. The only person who didn't get anything out of it was Paul Stanley. Oh, wait, no, you did too, Paul, because KISS was a success, and that benefited you all and benefited all of us. Let's move on to another very interesting topic, and it's leading into our actual main topic for the day. But it's been obviously a big news item lately that Vinnie Vincent wants to release a new album of material, one single at a time. Charging $200 per song.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Julian, I'm shocked. I'm shocked you're using the American version of The Office. You should be using the British one.
Oh, I just needed a clip quickly for that sentiment, because that just sums up both of these topics for me. It's like, that's what I feel when we have to talk about these, but they're happening. Lonnie, how many copies of Ride the Serpent are you signing up for $200 a pop?
Is it real?
0 actually. I mean, that's what's. I mean, from unfiltered old man to delusional,
Old man.
out of touch with reality. It's just it's such an eye roll and move on type thing. I'm like, Vinnie is going to Vinnie, I guess you can say, and that's who he is. But he has this section of the KISS Army that worships him, and that will. I'm sure there are Vinnie fans that the I don't want to get political. I'm not going to say left wing. I'm not going to say left wing or anything like that. But he has a cult of fans, that extreme fans that love whatever he does and just fall in line. But that is, it's such an eye roll and move on. Like if I can hear it one day and I can pay a I don't know if I can pay $15 or $20 for something like this, then I'm in. But $200 per song, talk about being delusional.
Mark, I got to go to you next because I know you just got your new CDs, didn't you?
Yes, right here. In fact,
They're going to be $200 a pop.
oh God, never in my life would I ever charge anybody that much money for an album. I mean, that's an album. He's asking for a single to do that. Now, while I understand,
and 1,000 minimum.
yeah, and here's the thing. I understand where the sentiment comes from in the sense that, you know, he thinks that musicians don't get fairly paid for their music and blah, 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 blah. But this is just making musicians look totally, utterly stupid because no musician would do this, you know, and he seems to think that this is the right way down to continue, you know, to do this kind of stuff. And it's stupid. The one thing that I find absolutely hilarious, though, is that somebody put a post up. I don't know if it was on Facebook or somewhere, where they said that why don't the KISS community, VC or whatever members, get together, all chip in and buy one copy that we can get like for whatever $10,000, and then you can just put it online, and then that'll be the end of that. And he totally lost it in his response, calling people nuts and insane for doing such a stupid ideas like that. Like, but you know, he's bringing this on himself, you know, because with these kind of ideas, what do you expect people to say? You know, you're going to say, "Good idea, Vinny. That's a great. I'm pulling out my $200 right now and signing up for the single." I mean, it's just ludicrous. I don't understand why he just can't try to put some positivity on his product, make people actually want it in a way that will make people go out and buy it without having to put some kind of comment behind it. Every time he puts out something, there's always some backlash or brouhaha behind it. Just put something out finally. You've been promising stuff for so long. I mean, every time we do a podcast here, somebody brings up the box sets and stuff like that. Like you owe so many things already. I mean, why would you even dare try to sell a single at this point? You know?
In 2018, we were supposed to get 2 box sets. 2.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Coming out by the end of the year.
At least you got an autograph on your leg. That's always something.
That was pretty good. He laughed at me when I said, "Well, he."
Lonnie lifted his leg on Vinny's table.
There you go.
Julian was there.
Yeah, the Wu-Tang Clan methodology, I don't think it's going to work for him unless he finds himself a corrupt financier to actually give him some money for one copy of an album. But it's also a matter that unless he gets pre-orders of 1,000 units, so $200,000 per song. Ken.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not buying anything. You know, he's been promising all kinds of stuff for years. You know, like Lonnie said, like that's the album that was going to be out a year or whatever ago. Well, you know, I don't know. I don't believe anything. I think it's just either to way to get somebody to pay some money, and you'll still not send them any CD or single or whatever it is. I think it's just a ploy to get some money
Or attention.
Maybe attention. But it's not the right kind of attention, in my opinion, because when you value something like that, you know, $200 or whatever for a single, that's just crazy. It's not even the Kiss Strutter Gold single. I mean, at least make it in gold, you know, real good.
Yeah.
Do something. But I don't know. Every time this Vinnie stuff comes up, you know, it's like every 3 months something comes up. Oh, something's coming out. Oh, I'm working on new music. I've recorded this and that. I've done all this stuff. Got a new singer. Blah blah blah. And then it goes away. It's just like I don't know. Like you said, he wants some attention every now and then, but then nothing happens. There's nothing. Show us something. You know, there is actually nothing. So prove us wrong. You know, it's like put something out. Just, if you're going to say something, do it. Otherwise, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Well, I think it's so sad. This episode will hail some of the work that Vinnie did with Kiss, but to me that was the last time he did anything good, and that's way back. I don't know how many years, but after Lick It Up, I really don't care for anything he's done. And he lost his mind somewhere along the line. He seems borderline insane. I don't know how he even makes money to get by, because he seems so out of touch with everything. I had kind of big hopes when he came back there in 2018. It was a good promotion. He worked with some guy, doing some videos that made you interested. And the first thing that some of you guys went to there in 2018 wasn't terrible.
It's fun.
After that, he just went off the rails, and actually he needs some sort of professional help. He seems to be totally gone, and we'll never, ever get anything new from that guy. I think we all know that. It's just smoke and mirrors.
We'll be back with Kiss after this.
Oh,
hey, you're still here, watching or listening. Why don't you hit that subscribe button or click the like one? And if you want even more, click on the join button on YouTube. Thanks for your support. All right, we need some balance in our lives. We've had some negativity or some drama to start off this episode. Let's talk about happier things. And this is a topic that Ken came up with, the top 5 Vinnie Kiss co-writes.
Good topic.
He'd worded it imprecisely at first, which would have excluded Revenge and potentially some of Creatures.
didn't want to do that.
So we've adjusted it slightly to make sure that it's just the co-writes that he did with Kiss. It could, of course, include some stuff from Creatures of the Box set, Creatures of the Box, Creatures of the Night box set.
Creatures of the Box.
The outtakes, such as Betrayed. Or potentially Fair Game. When you listen to Vinnie Vincent and you start organizing your thought into what are his best co-writes, Lonnie, how do you approach the topic? Is it just pick out the 5 songs on Revenge that he co-wrote?
Well, I started there. And, I don't know. For me, I just you look at the three albums that he contributed on, and like, okay, well, I've obviously, it's gonna be a big shocker that the 3 Revenge songs end up on my list, but I guess you really look It Up, because Look It Up is the Vinnie album, really. We have some co-writes on Creatures, we have some co-writes on Revenge, but Look It Up's the Vinnie album. I think honestly that's where you start. You start at Look It Up, and then you kind of expand from there, but the focal point is Look It Up for me when I think of Vinnie co-writes.
Yeah, Stargazer, only 3 made the album. There were others written. Daniel, how did you approach it? Is lyrics more important, or is melody and musicality and attitude more important for the Vinnie stuff?
Hold on a minute. There were others written, Julian. What do you mean with that?
I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
Wait for the Revenge box set.
The Revenge box set with additional Vinnie Vincent material. That would be awesome.
I did not say they were recorded by Kiss.
Okay. Okay.
We don't know, do we?
We don't know. We'll see. Well,
somebody knows.
What struck me when I approached this topic was that there's a lot of good music coming from Vinnie Vincent and Kiss, and a lot of co-writes. If that short amount of time, 80, 82 to 84, and a few songs from the Revenge record, but there's a lot of great music. And for me, it was really hard to narrow it down to 5 songs, because I think I kind of love at least 10, maybe 15 songs that are Vinnie Vincent co-writes. And they're so different. You have slower songs, beautiful songs like I Still Love You, and you have tough songs and everything in between, like A Million to One and stuff like that. So it was really, really hard. I like a lot of the stuff on Revenge, but I do enjoy some of the stuff on Creatures and Lick It Up as well. So it was hard, but what is pretty evident is that Vinnie Vincent played a huge part in history.
Absolutely. There's no denying that. Mark, how do you approach the topic?
I approach this the same way I do whenever we do this sort of a topic, and I immediately think of Vinnie Vincent, and the songs that come to mind immediately are the ones that I usually put in my top list, because for me, a song that's memorable that I can just think of right away is, to me, a sign of a strong song. I mean, if the melody is that strong that you can just say, okay, Vinnie Vincent, what are the songs I think of immediately? Boom, boom, I write them down. And then usually I'll have about maybe 4 or 5 possibly, but 4 will usually come to me right away if they're strong songs. So those ones are the ones that I'll write down. And then if I have to come up with a 5th, then I'll just go through the list of songs that he's done and think of what one of those I think are the strongest or the ones that I enjoy the most. But usually I stand on that hill where I believe that when you think of a songwriter or a band or whatever, the first songs that usually come to mind are the ones that are the strongest in your mind or strongest to you. So those are always the ones that I'll put in my list.
And Ken, how many ties did you have, or weren't there enough Gene Simmons songs for your list?
I didn't do any ties to get more songs on here. So, from my standpoint, I thought about the songs that, for the most part, where I thought Vinnie was the major contributor, which is probably most of those. Anyway, but the major contribution from him in the song. So that's how I did it. Plus, my favorite that had to be on the list for me because I love those songs. So that's how I went about picking the songs.
Yeah, it wasn't actually that difficult. I mean, when I think about, the topic's Vinnie's top 5 co-writes, I immediately have 5 songs in my head. I write them down, and it's like, what's missing? And for me, there was only one song that didn't get on the list that I was like, do I want that? What would I bump for that one? In the end, I didn't change my list at all. I know what my number 1 is straight off the bat. It doesn't generally change a whole lot. For me, Vinnie Vincent, it's kind of divided into 2 pieces when it comes to Vinnie. Lyrics. He's got these great lyrics that really flow. It's like what Eminem does rap-wise. It just incredibly visual, vivid, short machine gun bursts of lyrical matter. And then there's the music. And you can tell when the music seems to be much more inspired from a thought or an idea that Vinnie has had that really elevates stuff outside the norm of the meat and potatoes that was Kiss. So those are kind of 2 dynamics that I look or listen at. I haven't listened to any of these songs since writing down my list at 4 a.m. this morning. It really is a Yeah, I get up early. I've got books to write.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just hold our number 1 picks.
Don't tease Daniel.
Until very last.
Get Daniel started.
But let's just go around the table and see, with the other 4, just one at a time.
But hey, Julian, before you start, you mentioned the lyrics. The lyrics. I'm not going to.
I thought we were going to go on a tangent.
I mean, I also enjoy a lot of Kiss Vinnie Vincent lyrics. But what happened when he did his solo albums? I mean, those lyrics are the most creepy lyrics I've ever heard. It's like SMM and eerie stuff. It's like he forgot how to write good songs.
He has no co-writer.
Exactly, Mark. Bingo. You go from oxen pulling plows and go back to lick my candy cane. So again, the lack of someone as a foil giving an alternative and saying, hey, Vin, I think we could do that in a different way, either gently or firmly, or no, you're not putting that on a Kiss record. He didn't have anyone. He didn't have any constraints, and that's what he wanted. by going solo was to not have anyone telling him
Mm-hmm.
that you really don't need a 129th guitar solo track on that song, Vinny. It's already got enough, and now it's just a brick. So
Okay.
yeah, co-writer.
Yeah, co-writer.
All right, let's get going. Just throw out your first pick, save your best till last, and let's see where these chips may fall. Mark, get us started with your number one pick and why.
Well,
Number
my
one or number
Number
five?
five pick. Number five
Number
pick.
five.
we were saving number one for the end. Okay, so
Right. Okay.
So my number five, technically, is a song that, again, when I was thinking of Vinny, what's the first thing that kind of comes to mind? I Love It Loud. I've always loved that song from the first time I heard it. Huge, bombastic, song. It turned out great. It's not the most difficult song to play. And, and like they say, sometimes the simplest songs are the ones that turn out to be some of the catchiest songs. And even has a very simple guitar solo, which is so interesting considering how Vinnie Vincent claims that, he is a great lead guitar player, but it shows incredible restraint that he only did such a simplistic, or there is such a simplistic solo on that song. So I'm going to go with that one. I think I Love It Loud is a great song that he wrote with Gene.
Anyone else pick I Love It Loud on theirs?
I did.
Yes, I picked it.
Lonnie, you had it? Why?
I did. I mean, it's. I know that as Kiss toured, it kind of got old a little bit, and like, okay, it's coming, and it's fine. But it's a great song, and it's when I think about Vinny, I'm with Mark. I think about I Love It Loud and how, Vinny wrote his Kiss anthem with that song, and Kiss is such an anthem band, and Vinny gets his song credit for one of those Kiss anthems, and it's an undeniable Kiss classic. And I had to put it on my list because it's one of the first songs I think of.
I just looked at the list, and 4 out of 5 Kiss FAQ panelists today agree that I Love It Loud is one of Vinnie Vincent's top 5 Kiss co-writes. Daniel, you had it as well.
Yeah, of course. It works so well live, and it's done for so many years. They cut one of the verses live, I think. They shortened it a bit, and that made it more effective, I think.
After a while.
I think that's the way it should have been recorded. But it sounds great on Creatures, of course. And Eric Carr has to be mentioned as well. I mean, his drumming on this one is one of the reasons why I wanted to become, a drummer, or at least learn the drums. The bombastic sound on that song, and it's a pretty simple drum beat, but it gets you. You can't forget the
exactly.
dun 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 dun. I mean, dun dun dun. It's so great. So I think Eric Carr played an important part in this song as well. We can't forget him. It's not just Vinnie, but a great song. And I don't know how they made that solo so simple, because I guess they used the reins on Vinnie Vincent. He must have had another plan for a solo on this song,
Probably.
but I think it kind of works pretty well on the song. A simple song, which they later reused on the Lick It Up solo and also the Heavens on Fire solo. So it kind of became a way of let's do the first single a simple solo. So they used that for a few years, and I Love It Loud, such a great song. And I know that a lot of Kiss fans might have heard it so many times, so they get tired of it. But if you play it for a 10-year-old kid, I think they'll get into it right away.
All right, Ken, go loud and proud for Uncle Gene with Vinnie Vincent on I Love It Loud, because you also had it.
Yeah, the only part, I think Gene came up with the chant part of the song. I don't know how much else he came up with on that, but I think probably some of the lyrics too mixed in with Vinnie's. I like that song better than like Lick It Up, because if I'm going to pick two songs, I'm going to pick I Love It Loud, because Lick It Up I think I got so tired of anyway. But this song is a good anthem. I mean, really good anthem, and it was well written. The thing about the solo is, I don't know if they. I always wondered about that if they were going to do a different solo. I was wondering if the box set was going to have anything with a solo or something like that, but I guess there never was really one for it that was, like a bunch of notes going crazy or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a real good song, and it was number 4 on my list.
Yeah, I think you've nailed everything kind of down to the reason why it doesn't make my list. Because
you're the only one that didn't pick it, yeah.
I didn't. Again, the basis of that song, what strikes me almost immediately are 2 elements. Number 1 is Eric Carr's drums. And that really sets the foundation for it. Danny was absolutely bang on with what he said. But also Gene's input into the song and the chant. I mean, that was a leftover from The Elder and leftover from the Kiss Killers that he injected. He wanted to put a chant like that into a song, and he found a willing victim with Vinnie. Vinnie's importance to the song is obviously very important with Loud and Proud. But again, it just becomes so much more because of the other elements. So I didn't include it in mine. Lonnie, why don't you give us another pick? What?
One point I just want you talked about the drums, and this kind of goes back to the subject earlier at the beginning regarding drums and musical instrument. I was thinking of this the other day about this Gene comment thing about drums can be musical. Remember, Gene, Eric Carr's drum solo in the concerts, he did make the drums musical, so it was a musical instrument. You can do that with drums. So just want to point that out. Okay.
All right. So Lonnie, throw one of your other picks in.
So I'm gonna shock everybody, and I'm gonna say a song of revenge, and I'm gonna say Heart of Chrome. I love Heart of Chrome. I think it's so angry, and I love the lyrics to it because it's so. And like 12-year-old me when Revenge came out really liked it because of how angry that song is, and it's the opposite of a love song. It's basically telling this girl off type of song, and it's so fun. Is there more Kiss lyric than "I'm gonna stick it in your heart of chrome"? I mean, it's so freaking awesome. I couldn't have composed a Vinnie list without that angry Kiss song, that angry Kiss lyrics from that. Did anybody else pick Heart of Chrome besides me, or am I the only one? Julian, nice.
Damn right I had it. I love it's like the sister of Killer with that stick it in your heart of chrome. The bitch dealing pain the bitches in Sting, gonna stick it in that heart of chrome. It just the aggression, the attitude. I would love to hear a Vinnie demo of that and what his part and role specifically was. But the attitude and the wordplay is just, to me, signature Vinnie Vincent on there. But again, it's also slightly less so elevated by a fantastic vocal by Paul. But since he's a co-writer on it, and Bob Ezrin, of course, has a piece of that pie in bringing it to realization. Anyone else have it? Well, shame on you all.
No,
I love this song, but I just didn't
good,
have it.
but I don't have it.
I think it's a good song, but I actually prefer Gene's Chrome Heart. Where Paul Stanley stole the title from.
Well, they like Chrome. Chrome goes into motion. Chrome Heart of Chrome. There we are. All right, Mark, throw out another one of your picks, please.
Okay, so another one that immediately jumped into my mind when we thought about this topic was A Million to One. It's one of those songs that when I heard it the first time, I thought it was incredibly strong. I guess it would fall under the bracket of like a power ballad-ish kind of song. But I think the guitar playing is really cool. Very nice interplay between like some just chugging chords and then sort of like that arpeggiated guitar bit over top of it to give it that real nice melodic flow in there. Paul, I think, sings fantastically well on this as well. to me, it's just immediately catchy. Like I said before, when I do these kind of lists and I think Vinnie Vincent, what did he write? Boom, Million to One immediately comes to mind because it's such a memorable song. And then the chorus is very simple too, just a million to one. It's just such a simple lyrical idea, but it works so well. Again, some of the simplest things end up being some of the strongest things, because if you overclutter stuff, whether it's musically or lyrically, sometimes you lose the flow of the melody. And I think this is a great example of where something simple comes out extremely strong.
Very eloquent. Nicely stated. It's on my list, so I have nothing to say. Mark said it all. Anyone else have it?
Yeah, I had it as well in my top 5, and I think I enjoyed this period from 83 to 85 when they didn't do like power ballads, but something in between a rock song and a ballad. And A Million to One is so beautiful. He sings it so well, and I would hope that all of you guys out there listening have seen the version from Paul Stanley's solo tour in the mid 2000s.
Yeah,
I think he did a great version live of that one in I don't know when it was, 2006 maybe.
2006.
When he went on to his Live to Win tour. There's a great version on the Paul Stanley Live to Win DVD, and it really shows what could have been if they had performed it live.
Yeah, just imagine what if back in the day. So no one else with A Million to One?
No, but I almost made my list. Almost. I mean,
Agreed.
Number
Agreed.
6.
Almost.
Switching
Almost.
back and forth on stuff.
Oh, why don't
Really
you
good song.
kick us one of yours from your list, Ken?
One of mine? Okay, I'll give you one that I know none of you guys will pick. That's why I'm going to pick this one on my list, and it's "And on the Eighth Day."
Oh,
that is the anthem in my mind. An anthem that should have get more respect, but I just love it. I love the song. I know it's from one of Vinnie's other songs. I can't remember.
Boys Are Gonna Rock?
Boys Are Gonna Rock, yeah. Taken from that, the music from that. And then the chorus is great. I think it's a great anthem that kind of never was. And it's a great way to look it up, end of the album. I think it just doesn't get the accolades or whatever it deserves. It's kind of a hidden gem in my opinion. So that's why it made my list. I really love the song.
actually, Ken has made me listen to the end of Lick It Up because I always hated those two songs ending the
agreed.
album. But
They're actually not bad. They're good.
since Ken has been brainwashing me for over 10 years now,
Yes.
I actually kind of enjoy those songs a little bit more,
There you go.
for sure.
Hey, it's always good to have a reason to reappraise it. I prefer Boys Are Gonna Rock than And on the Eighth Day, any day of the week, all 8 days a week. Anyone else got anything to say about And on the Eighth Day, or should we move on to And on Another Pick?
Should move on.
See, I told you none of you guys would.
See, no one's even
No, you're right.
participating.
I knew right away when I chose
You
it.
were right.
It's number
I
6.
knew right away. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Daniel, give us one of your picks.
Have we talked about Not for the Innocent? We haven't?
Not yet.
About to
no.
now.
Not for the Innocent, such a great, brutal song on Lick It Up. I think it was a leftover from Creatures, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yep. And it surely fits the mold when it comes to Creatures of the Night. Heavy, hard, mean song. And this is Makeup Gene on a non-makeup album. And I always liked that when he went into his persona. And it's a brutal song. Great song. And I guess most of the guys here have heard that demo version that surfaced a few years. Oh, now it have to be in like 10 years ago. But with Paul Stanley singing the chorus, I think that was a great addition to the song, and that made me go back and listen to Not for the Innocent. And I think it's just a great song, metal, brutal Gene, and I enjoy a lot of his brutal songs like War Machine and stuff like that. So I think it's surely one of his best co-writes, one of Vinnie Vincent's best contributions to Kiss. Not for the Innocents, yeah.
Except he had nothing to do with the writing of War Machine, of course. Anyone else have?
No,
Not
that
for the
was
Innocent?
Brian Adams. So
Yeah, I have a Not for the Innocent either as well. I mean, I really liked the song. I mean, when I first heard it, I had the 7-inch single for "Lick It Up," and that was the B-side here in Canada, and it never really took to me then when I heard it. And then after that, when the box set came out, you know, the version that Daniel was talking about with Paul and Gene doing it together really caught my attention a hell of a lot more. I thought it was a very interesting version of it. But the other thing that really caught me even more is that when me and Daniel decided to do those Kiss Licks podcasts where we went through the licks, I picked Not for the Innocent as one of my ones to play. And after going through it and, you know, going through playing some of the licks, I grew to appreciate it a lot more because it was just such a fantastic written guitar parts that were in that song that it gave that more of a cachet to me of that song. I was like, wow, this is a lot better than I would give it credit for originally. So I think it's a great song.
I think that's so cool that you can, you know, after 20, 30 years, you can, you know, rediscover a Kiss song and make it one of your favorites. That's a cool story, Mark.
Thank you.
I'm surprised it took that long because it was number one on my list.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, I always loved it since the first time I heard it.
It is a great
back
song.
when the album came out. I just thought, man, you know,
Gene
it starts
song,
off,
too.
it builds up, it builds slow, and it just kicks in, and he's like, I'm mean and I'm dirty, like, you know, it's like, and the way he sings it, it's mean, it is mean and dirty, like, you know, it's like, wow, this is good, you know. Then just some, you know, power chords going on and stuff like that in it. It's just it's dirty, but it's yet simple, you know, to a degree. So I love that song every time I hear it. Never would skip it.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brooding. It's dark. I loved when the demo circulated, and that's so perfect for Creatures. But the version on Lick It Up is the one that I'm most ingrained with, and I love its refinement and finish. It's a little bit more focused in that aggression rather than just like a 10,000-pound bomb. It's more like a laser-guided missile. So it really hits directly with that aggression. That's the one on my list that isn't on my list. That's the only one that would have come into the orbit and potentially dethroned something else. Lonnie, it didn't make your list?
It did not, but it was close. Obviously it's a great song, and I'll echo what you guys say. I love the way Gene sings it. It's really good, but you know, I got those it has those revenge songs to compete with. It couldn't crack the top 5.
Well, we better get some more of your picks in here because you've got the fewest so far. So give us one of yours.
So we're saving our top one. So, but I'm going to go with a non-revenge one, and I'm going to say Exciter. I'm sure I'm not the only one with that, and it's such a great. It's just a great punch in the face to kick off Lick It Up. And again, I said even though I love revenge, I started with Lick It Up, and starting with Lick It Up, how can I leave off the first song off the album with Exciter? It's so great, so fast, so. I don't know. It's Paul, the way Paul sings it, and it's so 83. That song is. It's very time stamped in my opinion for what was popular at the time, and it's a great kick-ass song to start Lick It Up. So I had to put it on there. I'm sure I'm not the only one with that one though.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is going to be the only unanimous pick on this list. Who else has it?
I have it.
I have it. We all have it.
I honestly, again, it's one of these songs where when I first heard it the first time, it immediately hit me as a fantastic song. And then even further again, when me and Daniel did those series of podcasts with the licks, I did Exciter on that one as well. And just learning those little things in it, like that sliding natural harmonic.
The beginning.
That whole thing was really cool. How he does that, and then even just the interplay between Paul and Vinnie's guitar playing. How one just holds like a chord, and the other one does like almost like a chugging rhythm underneath, and underneath that. You know, it's such a cool thing to work out these things. And I highly recommend that any guitar players who are listening, if you sit down and try to learn some of these songs on guitar, it gives you a whole new perspective and a new appreciation sometimes for these songs that you would have never had before. I know that happened with Daniel, and we got to choose that. He kind of was surprised how much that song he liked better once we played it on guitar like that. So I highly recommend doing that. And again, I think Lonnie was 100% correct with picking Exciter. It was my number 2.
It's funny that it doesn't even have a Vinnie solo on it.
Yeah.
Rick Derringer plays that.
Derringer.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Daniel, you piped up. It's on yours as well?
Yeah, it's number 3 on my list. I think it's just one of these great opening songs from Paul Stanley it's one of the best songs on Lick It Up. And I even know that Ken always mentioned this as one of his favorites. So I always enjoyed hearing him liking some Paul Stanley stuff. And I like Rick Derringer's solo on this one. It's beautiful. I haven't heard a Vinnie version of the solo, but maybe it's somewhere there in Kiss Land, somewhere out there.
It's out there.
It is, yeah. But I think the solo fits the song perfectly. From what I've heard, it's not that different from the Vinnie Vincent solo, but I guess that it's a bit more, reined in, I guess. But the song in itself it's such a beautiful song and such a great opening track, much like he did on the later albums, like I've Had Enough Into the Fire and King of the Mountain. He was on a roll here, and this is Creatures of the Night, of course, as well, is a great opener. So those opening songs on the albums from 82 to 85 I love them, and this is one of the great ones.
Yeah, it's a non-complex solo, and there's barely any difference between Vinnie's solo and the one Rick did. I mean, it's one I can play. But here's the thing. I think Vinnie must have pissed someone off that day, and they took away his solo. And that's all. And whoever just happened to be handy. I think it was a punitive thing. I think he pissed off, one of his employers, and they took away his toys. Great song. It's my number 1 pick. Absolutely my number 1 Vinnie co-write. Always has been. Who was it? Super Zapper said it perfectly. What an intro, sets the tone for the album.
Yeah.
And it really sets the tone for me for everything that Vinnie does on that album, that it is still very restrained and well crafted as a song, lyrically, melodically. It's got so much of his musical id present. He's a very melodic guy. Going back to Treasure, listen to those songs. A lot of those elements come through. And what strikes me as well is a lot of these solos aren't particularly difficult. I Love It Loud, Lick It Up, Exciter, but they're perfectly stated. But the phrasing of the playing and the attitude of the playing combined with the singing, it just makes it just absolutely perfection. So, great pick. Ken, you're good. I make Daniel very happy by saying nice things about.
It was my number 2 on my list, Daniel. So I love that song. I remember getting it when it came out, and it's the first time I bought a cassette first before the vinyl. I bought a cassette because I had a Trans Am and I had a cassette player, and then I threw it in there right after I got out of the store, out of Tower Records. And hearing that for the first time, that song come in, it's like, oh, wow. And I was like, what? This is like, it's like, wow, they really, this is heavy stuff and rocking, and it's just, blew my mind. And then it followed, of course, with Not for the Innocent. Right after that, it's like, geez, I was like, they did it again after Creatures. I was like, they've done it again. So. It's that good of a song. Great, solo, even though it's, maybe it's not Vinnie, but it doesn't matter. But Vinnie's, I think his writing is all over that song. I mean, I wouldn't call that a typical Paul song. I know there's Paul elements definitely in it, but that's a lot of Vinnie on that song, I think.
Lonnie, did I get you for this?
Yes. It was... My pick was exciting.
It was? Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I guess it was.
What the hell? All right. Well, I'm going to go with my pick. This one is just, I've mentioned it already, Killer. Lyrically, that's got all the sorts of things represented in it that I find very appealing about Vinnie Vincent's writing. And I'm sure there were some, co-writing credits to be given there, but just the wordplay, the rhyming, I just really get off on that song. And then musically, oh my God, musically, it's a killer of a song, literally in name, lyrically, musically, all over the board. To me, it's one of the very best songs on Creatures of the Night. Fight Me. Anyone agree?
I do.
I love this song. I didn't make my list, but I do
Make my list.
love this song. It almost made my list. Almost.
Yeah, I love it too,
love
but it didn't make my list either.
It's number 6.
Wow, Julian solo on Killer. Wow.
Oh, all right.
Not the only one that has a solo song, I think.
I think we're getting near the end here, so it looks like Lonnie is missing too. So Lonnie, give us another one of your picks.
Well, I've only said one. We've only talked about one revenge song, so it's time to talk about another. And I'm probably the only one that has "I Just Wanna" on my list. I enjoy "I Just Wanna." I know people kind of, it's summertime blues, blah blah blah. I loved that song and I still love it. But like summer of '92, that's MTV played that video quite a bit. They really did, and then they ignored Every Time I Look at You, but they played that quite a bit in summer of '92, and I really like the song. It's fun. It's a fun song, with the play on words and that, and it's Kiss, so it's great. Am I the only one that has "I Just Wanna"?
Yeah.
Yes,
Probably.
So.
I like the video more than the
I
song.
thought about it, and
The video is good.
Actually, that was nowhere near my top 5, but I do enjoy the feel of the song. It's like summertime, going out, having fun, no problems. So I like the song, but I never thought it was one of his greatest co-writes.
Yeah.
And you mentioned "Summertime Blues." I like that song as well. I don't think it's that similar that people say, but you do feel that he's been inspired by that one. Actually, they did "Summertime Blues" once on
94.
94 there when preparing for a concert. They played "Summertime Blues," and that's kind of a cool thing to look up for you guys out there. It sounds pretty cool when they do
Chile, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Chile
Santiago.
94. Yeah,
soundtrack.
Santiago, Chile. Yep.
Yeah. It's kind of like Crazy Nights, produced by Bob Ezrin for me. I Just Want it. So, all right.
I like
nearly.
the attitude on it,
Yeah, again, good summer vibe. All right, so I get one other pick because this is my last of my 5 songs, and it's not the number 1 pick. I Still Love You, and there's been a lot of love for 1,000,000 across this panel. 4 out of 5 of us love that song. It looks like I'm probably going to be the only one with that on my list, but that one always hit me in the feels from the first time I heard it. I don't know whether it's being skewed by Paul's outstanding vocal on it and something that he slayed in concert night after night during the 80s. But listening to the work tapes on the Creatures of the Night box set was very, very enjoyable for that song. So it'll always be one of my top picks, no matter what. And maybe it's the more melodic tendencies coming through on my list. And I guess no one else did have it.
No, but you can't deny the power of that song, especially on. We all agree that the MTV Unplugged version of "I Still Love You" is one of the best vocal performances by Paul in history. So it's a beautiful song, but personally, I don't go back and listen a lot to ballads. It doesn't do it for me. I prefer something like "1,000,001," where it's somewhere in between a ballad and a rocker. So ballads, nowhere near my top 5, but it's a beautiful song, well crafted, and I really do enjoy the solo on this on that one. Beautiful solo.
Yep, even the live solo. All right, well, we're down to the number 1 pick, and is it going to be 4 out of 5 of us agree on the number 1 pick? Daniel, why don't you give us your number one pick?
My number one pick is one of his later contributions to Kiss. It's on the Revenge record, and I do recall going up to watch Headbangers Ball late on a Sunday. School was starting on Monday, but I didn't care. It was the premiere of the video of Unholy, and man, did it crush me. I mean, after the fiasco of Hot in the Shade, this was Kiss coming back with a vengeance. And I do enjoy the video to this day. I think it's one of their best videos. It's dark, it's sinister, and Gene was back as Mean Gene, and that goatee, I think, looked so great on him. I tried to grow one, but I didn't. I couldn't do it back then. It looked kind of weird, but I at least tried. And the song, knocked it. Gene knocked it out of the park with that one. It's probably one of his heaviest songs in history, up there with War Machine and a few others. So, and how it's played, and the Bruce Kulick solo. Vinnie at one point claimed he played the solo, I think, and that's about the only time I've seen Bruce Kulick upset during a convention. He started swearing and calling out Vinnie there, but so it's a Bruce Kulick solo, and it's a great solo. But the song, at least the studio version, is probably a top 10 Kiss song for me. So Unholy was my number one co-write with Vinnie Vincent.
It didn't make my list, by the way. I think it's. I thought it was ridiculous, and I think it's ridiculous today. So let's get back to the Love Fest, Lonnie.
I knew it would make your list.
That's insane.
No, it's. I mean, Daniel calls it a top 10 Kiss song, and in my world, it's a top 5 Kiss song. I absolutely love it. It's what propelled me from Kiss is my older brother's band to becoming my favorite band. I absolutely love the aggression and the attitude of this song and the heaviness of this song, and it's my Kiss. It is Unholy is you want to ask me why I became a Kiss fan? It's that album and this song is what propelled me from just being I like them to I really like them. So it's everything I want in a Kiss song, with the angry Gene vocals, the heaviness of the song, and the attitude. It is Kiss for me. So it was big shocker. It was my number one pick.
You can keep it, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's my number one as well for a few reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, it put Bob Ezrin back sort of in my good books a bit.
Man.
It sounded much better sonically than anything that was done prior with his involvement. It also, it gave Bruce Kulick the much needed spotlight that he deserved as a guitar player. This song definitely showcased what a great lead player he is. That guitar solo in that song was something that made me definitely sit up and take a lot more notice. And the other thing too, and I think this is extremely important for me, is that I had sort of phased Kiss out at that point. I was not hip on Hot in the Shade, and Crazy Nights kind of didn't do it too much for me. So I was kind of on the way out with them. And at that point too, I think I was heavily into Priest with Painkiller and stuff like that. That was out and around at that time and stuff like that. So I was kind of like, Kiss was old hat. But when I went to my friend's house that day, and I know I've said this before, but he played this for me, didn't tell me what it was, and I thought, this is really fucking good. What is this? Then he goes, it's the new Kiss. And as soon as he told me that was new Kiss, I couldn't believe it. We listened to the whole album there in his room, and it brought me back full steam as a Kiss fan from that moment on. So this song pretty much brought me back into the fold, because I was ready to completely check out of Kiss and just go to Priest and all the heavier stuff at that time and go that route. But it brought me back, and not only as a Kiss fan, but as a person who really, really grew to love and appreciate Bruce Kulick as a guitar player and as a guitar soloist, I mean, just incredible stuff. So number one for me, without a doubt.
Good.
Who's next?
So yeah, I have it too, but it's my number 5 on my list, but it's still there. I'm like Daniel when he first heard it. I had it. I first saw that video and heard it on Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
I used to record on VHS tape that show.
Yeah.
I had it programmed to record. It was like 11:30 at night on, what was it, Saturday nights or something like that.
Saturday nights.
It was Saturday, and so I wasn't always up to watch it, but I would watch it the next day or whatever. So yeah, and I saw that, I was like, oh my God, what this is, I couldn't believe it. The whole thing, the video, everything about it, the song, it's like, they seemed like, Kiss is, back again, kind of like after when Creatures came back.
Yeah.
That changed. It's like, they did it again. They somehow pulled it off, and to me, it was like, relevant kind of music that they were playing. It's like it took them a while, but they actually did and had the sound that they always should have had, since Lick It Up, So anyway, I just thought that the song was great. I was happy, and I was having Gene. It was getting a single for once, and I was just blown away. It's just a great song. Just a comment on the "I Still Love You." That's a song I just really did. I'm like Julian. You don't like "Unholy." I Still Love You. It just really never did anything for me. I wish they would have pulled that song from that album and put in like "It's My Life," something else. That's just that song's never really done anything for me. I mean, it's okay. It's just to me, it brought down Creatures for me. That album, that was the one song that they didn't need a ballad on there.
I mean, Unholy for me was difficult because, the eye rolling, I was rolling my eyes literally at that video and the song. But, going back to that period, I mean, there was Rust in Peace. I'm sorry. To this day, I'll take Rust in Peace over Revenge.
Yeah, Megadeth was
any day of the week. I will take Painkiller, Mark mentioned, any day of the week over that. There was Queen, Innuendo. I mean, those were the big ones for 91, 92 for me. Any day of the week over Revenge. But it's not that it's a bad album, because there's spectacular music on Revenge that I really love. I love Paralyzed. I love Tough Love. I love Heart of Chrome, obviously. God Gave Rock and Roll to You was massive in the UK.
Yeah.
So, there's a ton of good songs. Every Time I Look at You, Domino.
Spit.
No.
I like Spit.
It's all good. It's all good.
Terrible.
Should have had the rapper on Spit. Then it would have been good.
Thou Shalt Not. Yeah.
I'm not surprised that it's number one, but again, it's just one that never entered my wheelhouse because of what else was affecting me musically at the time. I was just like, I didn't have a Creatures. It's not like the first time I ever heard Lick It Up. I put that cassette in, I played Exciter, and I stopped and I rewound it and did it again. First time I remember that vividly. Right. That was the impact Exciter had on me at that moment. And then I played the whole album down through and flipped it over, put it back, went again. That's how good Lick It Up was. Revenge did not have that, even though it certainly has some very high moments. So, let's just go through everyone's top fives and your number one. Lonnie, get us started. Give us a recap.
So I'll count it down 5-1.
However you want to do
it. Five was Heart of Chrome. 4, I Love It Loud. 3, Exciter. 2, I Just Wanna. And 1, of course, is Unholy for me. Shocker.
Mark, recap yours.
I Love It Loud, number 5. 4 was Million to One. Number 3 was Not for the Innocent. Number 2 was Exciter. And number 1 was Unholy.
Ken.
Number 5 for me is Unholy. 4, I Love It Loud. 3, And on the Eighth Day. number 2, Exciter, and number 1, Not for the Innocent.
Daniel.
Well, you all mentioned a lot of great songs, but you do have to say that it's perplexing that Lick It Up didn't make any list. The biggest hit.
I thought you guys would pick
Vinnie
Look It Up. I didn't pick it.
No one picked that because I guess we've heard it too many times. But if you would ask, like a non-Kiss fan, that would probably make the list. But for me, it was number 5, Not for the Innocent, great song. Number 4, A Million to One. Number 3, Exciter. Number 2, I Love It Loud. And number 1, of course, Unholy. Yeah.
Mine are all in a tie for number 1, and it's I Still Love You, Killer, A
You
Million
can't do
to
that.
One, Exciter, and Heart of Chrome. I could change the rules and
Yeah.
hope that I don't change them further, to quote my good buddy Darth Vader. All right, so that's a bit of yin and yang today. A bit of Vinnie lunacy, a bit of Gene. Well, Gene is Gene. A bit of Gene, and our top 5 Vinnie Kiss co-writes. What are your top 5 Vinnie Kiss co-writes? That's a bit of a tongue twister. Again, he was with them for 3 very important albums. 2 as a player. Well, 1 as a player, 1 as a session player, co-writer, and the other as a hire for hand charity situation that they needed very desperately. What are the 5? I mean, anyone got Lick It Up at the top of their list? Chime in wherever you listen to this with your comments. But I guess that's it. So for now, from Lonnie, from Ken, from Mark, Daniel, and myself, thank you for joining us, and we shall see you next week. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the message board and discuss the topics we've broadcast today. Don't forget to hit subscribe wherever you've listened to this show, and a like would very much be appreciated. We hope you'll join us again, but until then, remember, life's a radio. Turn it up to 10.